Hey friends, I'm back for a quick mid-month grocery haul. I decided that for the next several weeks, maybe even a couple of months, I'm going to split my mid-month grocery haul into weekly little hauls. I want to keep an eye on prices. I've been hearing things lately more like the US is a lot more likely to experience extreme inflation versus severe shortages. So I want to keep an eye on prices on a regular basis so that if things start to creep up faster than we're expecting, not that that hasn't already happened in many areas on many items, but I want to keep a closer eye on it at the places that I shop most frequently, like Sam's, Walmart, and Aldi, so I can continue to stock up regularly and slowly. But if I need to ramp that up a little bit because of prices increasing faster than anticipated, I can do that. I'm also going to wrap up the video by planning out my meals for this week using what we have in the pantry and freezer, and a quick garden tour to show you what I've got in the ground for our 2022 garden. I decided to pick up 8 packages of these medium flour tortillas. Yes, I can make tortillas, but this stock up trip was kind of about some convenience meals. This month has been crazy busy with work and school. I cannot believe school is wrapping up in the next 4 weeks. So this will help make some of our meals much faster. Several of you have commented on this Nestle Media Crema, and they are about 7.5 ounce cans of table cream, and it's found in the Hispanic food section. They were a little under $2 a can, and I bought 12 to put on the pantry shelf. Someone mentioned that there's an easy way to turn it into sour cream. I think you add a tablespoon of vinegar and you stick it in the fridge. We're definitely going to try that. Any kind of shelf-stable dairy but dairy product is totally worth trying in my book. We love dairy. I did pick up this 5-pound bag of cuties. My little ones in particular go through sometimes 2 or 3 a day if I let them. Picked up some more lunch meat to get us through the rest of this month. 4 more pounds of sharp cheddar. Depending on what is in the fridge right now, these might go in the freezer. I got 2 bags of mini cucumbers. I will go ahead and slice those up and put them in a container in the fridge so my kids can use them as snacks. A 3-pound bag of oranges. These were not apples. Pink Lady is one of our favorites, and these were not badly priced at all. It was just over $3 for 3 pounds. This was just kind of a pantry restock purchase, 4 ketchups and 3 barbecue sauce. I really like to keep 6 of these boxes of gallon-sized tea bags in one of our kitchen cabinets. 6 boxes is easily a year's worth of tea. If there were to come a point where we could no longer get coffee or any kind of cream to put in our coffee, then I would simply just switch to tea. Iced tea is good and refreshing, and we have warm weather here at least 8 months out of the year, so that would be a good coffee alternative. Some more string cheese for snacks and lunch boxes. This is the minimum amount of bananas that I purchase at a time. My kids go through them like crazy, and if they ever do get extra ripe, like the ones that are in our fruit basket right now, I will just whip up some banana muffins. These are my favorite little tomatoes to buy when tomatoes are not in season in the garden. They're just the Constellation cherry tomatoes. They're all different colors. They're super sweet. They're definitely cheaper for a larger container at Sam's, but I was at Walmart today. These 3 large sour creams, my app was showing that they were sold out. So I was really happy to see that they were not sold out. 48 ounces, so each one is 3 pounds. And these will last us a month, typically. I went ahead and got 3, so that's something I won't have to buy when I go for my monthly stock up in May. I bought this case of family size cream of chicken soup. This is not a health food haul. Again, there are things as a working mama with 8 kids and a business that I purchase for convenience sake. I have a great recipe for homemade cream of chicken soup, but it's really convenient to have some cans on the pantry shelf. I use cream of chicken just occasionally when I make things like chicken and gravy over rice, and when I make Pioneer Woman's chicken spaghetti, which is a family favorite. I will use a couple of these because of our family size. I also restocked some of our mayonnaise in the pantry. This is 6 of their 48-ounce bottles. We make a lot of our own sauces and dressings, and some of them have a base of mayonnaise. So I like to keep quite a bit in the pantry at one time. Mayonnaise is also a simple condiment to make from home, particularly if you have fresh eggs on your homestead or in your backyard. But I am trying to conserve our good, healthy oils right now, and keeping mayonnaise from the store in our pantry is one easy way to do that. It is date night tonight, and instead of picking up store-bought bread that has 20 ingredients, most of which we cannot pronounce, I decided to go ahead and start a big bowl of my overnight no-knead bread. It calls for 9 cups of flour. I use about 5 cups of freshly ground wheat and 4 cups of either all-purpose or bread flour, 5 1/4 teaspoons of salt, 1 1/2 teaspoons of yeast, and 4 1/2 cups of warm water. You just stir it up, cover it, and leave it on your counter for up to 24 hours, but typically a minimum of 6 hours. I turn my dough onto some parchment paper, place it in a preheated Dutch oven, bake at 450 for 30 minutes with the lid on, then take the lid off and bake it for 10 more minutes. Take it out, place it on a cooling rack, and allow it to cool for a bit before slicing into it. This is our favorite bread to dip in olive oil and balsamic vinegar, but it also makes a really great homemade grilled cheese sandwich. Whether you have food storage or not, you always need to keep a close eye on what you have in your fridge, freezer, and pantry at all times. It's important to rotate through what you have and make sure things aren't getting lost in the back of the shelf or the back of the freezer. I always open up all of the freezers, the fridge, and the pantry before meal planning each week. Based on what is in this freezer, I will make sure that my kids have fruit smoothies for breakfast a couple times next week. We will also use some of those frozen peas and carrots to make veggie fried rice and egg rolls one night for dinner. We have quite a bit of mozzarella cheese in the fridge right now, so I am going to make homemade calzones on Friday night instead of our regular pizza. I know I've got some already cooked ground sausage in the freezer, so we'll use that as well. There was a large bag of broccoli in the other freezer, and there are 2 more in here, so we will do broccoli cheese soup one night for supper. There on the left is the pre-cooked breakfast sausage I was referencing. We also have several pounds of kielbasa, so one night next week we will have red beans and rice with kielbasa and probably some homemade rolls. In this bin of chicken, you can see that I have about a half-gallon bag left of rotisserie chicken that I had purchased at the beginning of this month. We will pull that out and use this enchilada sauce to make chicken enchiladas. I didn't dig deep into this particular bin, but this bag of peaches was on top. I know we're getting close to the end of our peaches from last year, so I will use this to make peach cobbler for dessert on Friday night. I'm continuing to water glass our excess eggs right now in preparation for winter when we have about an 8 to 10 week period where our birds are not laying. But I think I will use some of these extra eggs this week to make quiche. If you like to preserve food at home, or you're a homesteader or a big gardener, I would highly suggest making good use of your time in the off season. One of the things I'm going to put on my list for this next week is to pressure can a whole bunch of pinto beans. I've got quite a few white beans and black beans already done and in the pantry, but I'm completely out of home canned pinto beans. Our garden is about 90% planted now. I am so excited for ripe tomatoes, and we're also looking forward to seeing just how much we can harvest and preserve this year. My goal this year is to grow enough tomatoes to preserve all the tomato products we need for the next year. In efforts to achieve that, I've planted 85 paste tomatoes this year. I did Amish paste and San Marzano. And then I did another 15 cherry tomato varieties and big slicers. Some of my very favorites are Paul Robeson, Brandywine, and Pineapple. Our garden space this year is almost 2,000 square feet. This is a 30-foot row of sweet potatoes. Here are some more of my tomatoes. All of these were started from seed. From here all the way down are cucumbers. There's a variety of pickling cucumbers in addition to Japanese long cucumbers, which are my very favorite. They're very similar to an English cucumber that's long and kind of skinny and doesn't have nearly as many seeds as a traditional store-bought cucumber. Here is our 60-foot row of bulb onions. I would say about 2/3 of these are sweet yellow onions and the other third are red bulb onions. Again, the goal is to grow enough bulb onions for the entire year. Now, I know the yellow and sweeter varieties do not store as well as the red, so the plan is to slice and dice some of these and vacuum seal them and freeze them. I will also dehydrate some, and I will turn all of the super small ones into onion powder by dehydrating them and then running them through the Vitamix. You can see down here is another big double row of tomatoes. You can't see all of these potatoes yet, but there is a 60-foot double row of white potatoes and red potatoes that go all the way down. We put them in the ground in about a 6-inch trench. My husband tilled just this spot for the potatoes. And then we've already put some compost and a little hay and now some mulch on top. I have no idea how much we will actually harvest from this 60-foot row. I've never had a super successful year with potatoes. Last year I was hit with blight pretty hard on our potatoes and our tomatoes. Hopefully the rooster is not drowning out my voice. And you can hear all the birds. But we'll see how this year goes. Now, this is an arched trellis that my husband and one of my sons put up for me. I've never used this before. We certainly use cattle panels all the time every year. But this is a 16-foot row, double row, I guess. On this side, I planted pole beans. On this side, I planted sweet peas. In a perfect world, these will grow up the trellis, and in a couple of months, I will be walking through this shaded archway with vegetables hanging down around my head. I decided to make use of the entire perimeter of the garden this year. So the entire inside perimeter over here on the left is winter squash. I've got butternut squash, acorn, and spaghetti squash. Down here toward the end, near the corner, I will do a couple of zucchini and yellow squash. This right here is kind of hard to see with some surrounding weeds, but there is about a 30-foot row of ground cherries. A lot of people are not familiar with ground cherries. They are a sweet and slightly tart little cherry that comes off the plant similar to a tomatillo. They're very pretty and they make good pie filling. You can make fruit syrup with it. So I'm excited to see how much of those we can grow with this many plants this year. Along the back fence line, we have 6 watermelon and 6 cantaloupe. Those are certainly just fun, delicious fruits to grow in the summer. And it sure beats having to go to a farmer's market or roadside stand to buy them. And nowadays in our area, so many of those roadside stands are fruits and veggies shipped from Florida or even Mexico. So it's so much more fun to grow it yourself. I've got these empty spots here and also on the other side of my potatoes. This is the side of the garden that's new to us this year. The chickens were on this side last year. We took their fence down, and now we have a doubled garden space. So I'll be putting peppers in over here after we get past these last couple of nights in the 40s. Right now they're sitting in the greenhouse waiting. And I will be putting okra along this fence right there. And here is what's left in the greenhouse. I've got some bachelor's buttons and spinach here. I started some loofah seeds as well as cucumber, zucchini, and squash. This is a cantaloupe, an extra that I had left over that I'm going to give to a neighbor. Here is some basil and several nasturtium that need to go in the main garden. Look at this, our first nasturtium bloom of the season. It's going to be a yellow one. I love nasturtium. I wish I had started even more than these 5 cups. Here are 2 Meyer lemon trees that I picked up at Tractor Supply last week. I am going to buy them each their own large pot, and they will stay in the greenhouse year round. I had a Meyer lemon tree in the ground in our front yard. It was beautiful, but every year it would die off with a deep frost, a hard frost, and then it would come back and basically have to start over. So the frost wasn't enough to kill it permanently, but it was enough to set it back so badly every year that we have never gotten a mature lemon off of it. These are some extra ground cherries. A couple of them are looking a little sad in the ground, so I might need to replace them. And here is what's left that either didn't fit in the garden. Like I've got a couple more paste tomatoes. Here are some marigolds that I need to put in the ground. This is just a cayenne pepper that I picked up at Lowe's. Basil hasn't gone in yet, and then all the rest of these are peppers. They had a really slow start this year. We've just had unseasonably cold weather, so I'm really glad that I decided to wait until putting them in the garden. This has allowed me to keep them warmer and a little more protected from the cold weather. Over here we have some okra. My okra did not do well from seed this year. This is just 10 plants, but I'm going to plant them anyways. Here are my leftover lovelies. These are all tomatoes, except for that one basil back there. Some of these are going to go to my parents and some will go to some friends. These 3 seed starting trays right here are sunflowers. I don't know why, I just like starting sunflowers from seed. Again, I've got a couple of extra plants. Yikes, this guy needs some more water. These are cantaloupe and watermelon. These are 2 grapevines that have been in the pot for a while. Look at this. This will be a bunch of grapes as it matures. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great day.